Yeah,
of course. Now, when you're like the kids, like you mentioned earlier about this, there's been this tectonic shift of what Bruno and Dominic did to what we did now to what they're doing today. And I don't mean to infuse in this that this way was right and that way was wrong or vice versa. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing to me, again, because of the way we were constantly drilled with safety. And I'm watching, I have this thing when I'm watching, I'll be watching just, I don't get it like, hey, Baba, I don't get in that way. I'm analyzing. And is he okay? Hey, like, are you the same way? Like, that tense comes up.
Especially when I'm watching my students.
Yeah,
training.
Of course.
Because, with what I'll just say, like, are you okay?
Right.
But even if it's in the middle of a match, we do every Tuesday or every Wednesday, we do match night.
Yeah, Dominic used to do that. It's crazy.
And I don't care where they are in the match. Like, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay.
Yeah. So, like, there used to be a set of twins in the neighborhood. They were like 5-6 years old. And another kid was like 7 or 8 years old. And they would hoist themselves up on the window and watch Dominic would throw stuff at the window, make him run away. Those guys became my son's football coaches at the school. It was like crazy. Like, I was like, oh my God, we're full circle to make you feel a little old, right? When do your kids come in and say, hey, coach, I saw this thing the other night on AEW or fill in the blank, whatever company. And you have to tone it back from them and say, like, no, you're not ready for that, or that's a dangerous, because what we do is really dangerous. It's just that we've been so well trained at it.
Not really. Like, they kind of know that I'm very fundamental oriented. I will let people try things, but we got to make sure that, like, there's crash pad and there's spotters and stuff like that.
Right.
But like, I don't have to pull people back too often.
Good.
I feel like they listen really well.
Yeah. When I had a school, it was
if you can't do a headlock takeover,
right?
Well, why are we doing?
Sure.
Let's do the headlock takeover before we do the moonsault.
So, as a guy that owns a school and runs a school, we had the House of Hardcore for ECW that Taz and Perry ran above those guys. Excuse me. Paul wanted Pittsburgh because we were doing really good business in Pittsburgh. So my brother had a building. It was perfect, right downtown in my hometown and everything. And so we set this thing up. And I forget there was some reason I was late getting to training. It was some emergency. And I come walking in and my students are all like dead quiet. Oh, we're so quiet. I walk in, I look at my ring, there's blood in my ring. I start looking around and I see like one of the guy, his name was big. In fact, he was on the ECW pay-per-view in Pittsburgh when I wrestled Bam Bam. He's one of the security guards. Big, long, blonde hair, just a big guy. Mm-hmm. He's not there. I said, okay, he wants to tell me what happened. While I was not there, he decided this 6'2", 320-pound guy decides he's going to do a moonsault. Uh-huh. Well, the ceiling was too low, and his feet hit the ceiling, hit the light, broke the light, and he came down and cut his arm. So he came back, thinking he's going to get sympathy. I reamed his ass out. Like, dude, like, you could have broken your neck. You could have broken your back. And the liability's there, right? You could have, I could have you on video. Mr. Anderson knows he can get hurt and blah, 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 and you can still sue me. Yeah, right? So
I have a funny story about, like, something similar. So I've always told them, like, if you haven't been, especially if they're just starting out, like, if I haven't shown you how to do this, don't do it. If I look over here, if we're working on chain wrestling, we're working on chain wrestling. Headlock,
right?
Reversals, wrist locks.
And I just want to inject something here for you kids at home that are big fans of wrestling and watching, and you play around in the neighborhood or whatever, or you're a young guy breaking or girl breaking into the business. Listen to what we're talking about, because we are pros that know how to make it look dangerous when it's really safe because of how we're doing it, and there's a huge margin of error for serious injury. So please take that into consideration.
Yeah, for sure. So I just told him I walked away because a mother had come in with her 15 or 16-year-old son, and she was curious and wanted to get into business. Sure. And so I'm taking her around and showing. At the time, we were in a big boxing gym, so there was a separate area where there was actually like a full weight room, and so I had walked down there to show her that area, and we were talking. She's like, I will say that I'm nervous though, because like I see the shows and it looks like they're getting hurt. I don't want him to get hurt. He's 15 or whatever. And I go, safety is like of paramount importance here. Like we we take that really seriously.
But acknowledge they can still get hurt. Like
Sure.
I'm sure you've been hurt. I've been hurt. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Right now, like.
Oh, nice. Don't punch out the real.
Does that hurt?
Yeah, right.
So we're literally, the words had just come out of my mouth, and this kid comes running over to me, and he goes, "Coach, look at this." And it was like his thumb looked like there was extra joints in it.
Oh.
And it was like, and he's like,
and his mother's standing right there.
Yeah. I had literally, she just said, like, I'm worried he's going to get hurt. And I went, no, not here. Safety. Coach. And he's like, look what I did. And he goes, do you think you can reset this? And I was like, no, I can't reset that. I'm thinking, like, that's a liability issue
over here.
And it turns out, I said, how did you do that? And he was like, I slipped and I fell. We were working on chain wrestling and I slipped. Well, then, so he leaves, and I come to find out that he, for whatever reason, there was a crash pad next to him. His girlfriend was training with him at the time too. And he had said his excuse was they were training and she slipped and fell on top of him and she hurt him. Yeah, she did that to him. And my other students said, like, hey, I don't want to be a tattletale, but like, we were chain wrestling and he kept asking somebody to try a rock bottom onto the crash pad. And we were all like, no, we shouldn't be doing that. He told us not to do that. And so he grabbed his girlfriend and then she did it. And that's how he got hurt. And he actually hurt himself. And like, just the idea that, like, one, he did that in the first place. Two, that he would throw his girlfriend under the bus. Right.
Like, what a heel.
Wow.
So was it broken, obviously, or dislocated?
Yeah, it was dislocated or something like that. Like, he ended up going to the hospital.
Yeah, and right on cue as the mom had just asked this question.
You couldn't write it.
Yeah,
you couldn't write that better.
It would look too corny if you wrote it that way. Yeah. Now, I'm curious, have you had any students yet get out and start making it in the business?
Tiffany Stratton is one of my students.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she started with us. Actually, she's like personal family friends with Greg Gagne.
Okay.
And Greg reached out and said, like, hey, I've got this girl. I think she's got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I can get her a tryout with WWE because he still has some stroke there.
Yeah.
And he said, would you mind training her? So she came to my school for about 6 months, and then Greg got her a tryout with WWE. It's funny, on the day that she went down for her tryout, she said she cut a promo, and then they came and said, guys, we're stopping this. Everybody has to go home. COVID. They just shut the country down for COVID. Literally, right at that moment, they pulled the plug and she went home. And she just continued to, we were shut down for almost 2 years.
Right.
We were shut down. And then, but I had my ring in a barn somewhere, and she kept going up and she would practice.
Nice.
And then she went back and she did her tryout and she killed it.
And with what you just said there, it makes sense. Because like in Dominic's school, I always tell this story. He had about 20 students, up and down from there. But I remember every single weekend, we would start dark in the morning, Saturday, 6:30, 7 a.m.
Wow.
And it'd be dark at night, and Dominic would be going, get the hell out of the ring. Janine's waiting for me. But it was always Mick, Cody Michaels, Brian Hildebrand, or Mark Curtis, me. The other guys would sit around. I remember they're good guy. I don't feel like I'm burying the guy. But like there was a guy, Tony Nardo, who lived in Clarksburg, West Virginia, just north of us here. And just a big, thick guy, fairly athletic. But you'd sit and listen as we'd be in the ring. You'd hear them over there talking, and they'd say like, one day he said something like, I watched Bret Hart last night. What's he got that I don't have? And I'm like, come on, dude, like seriously, And it's ironic that the ones that made it out of the gym were those guys I mentioned and me, and the ones that didn't, the other. Now, did you see the same thing? Like, was it obvious from an early point that Strat was going to be the one to make it out?
Yes, but she didn't have the gift of gab, so to speak, right? Like she was very athletic and very coachable. I could show her something, do it this way, and I could correct her one time and she would be like, oh yeah, I get it. And she would do it the right way. Getting up the right way, the way we get up.
Yeah, fish to water. Yeah.
Well, I never heard that. What is that?
Fish to water.
Fish to water. Oh, yeah.
Fish do well in water, right? Now, see, I'm a firm believer. Like I've always said this. I'm curious if you see the same. Now, obviously, we're all partial. I think Dominic had the best way of, proof is he had how many world champions come out of that class.
Yeah, what a crazy class. Like
Right?
all that list.
But it was all, we wanted the same thing. And we were all helping each other get there. But we knew, like we didn't believe that we were as good as Brett and all those guys. We never thought we'd be as good as those guys.
Yep.
And so, like, the first night we were on a show in Clarksburg, West Virginia at Nathan Goff Arena. Dominic had known Bill Watts. They used to run the roads together. So Bill's UWF was getting really hot at the time, and he brought up half the crew. So they had the second half of the show, and it would be me and Mick on the curtain jerk because we'd have a good opening match. We came back from the match, and Terry Taylor and Eddie Gilbert, who were like running Bill's side of things, grabbed us, took us out to the loading dock and said, "Hey, we watched you guys. You're pretty good. You ever thought of going on the road?" And honestly, the answer was no, because we knew we were okay, good enough for like local wrestling, but we're not like that good.
Yeah.
But Dominic's way of training was very basic. Like, he didn't teach high spots and a move here or there, but that kind of thing. But mostly amateur stuff and safety. But in my humble opinion, it was the best way, because if you go in my mindset, having a preconceived notion of how Dominic did a match or set a match up, it was working with Pez and Bart and all these guys that you learned a little bit more from. And knowing how to do the moves is easy. When to do them, not do them. So, like, you take the same basic approach?
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
I started out with rolls, and then we go chain wrestling, and like I don't even bump my students for a few weeks.
Nice.
Then running the ropes, and then we get, we do a back bump. Different, where you cross your arms and kind of fall back over somebody while they're behind you.
Right.
Learning
And it's
how
awkward.
to fall and learn. Yeah,
Right? Because your whole life, your instinct, put your hand or arm out or whatever.
Yes, they're reaching out and trying to, like, I always tell them, like, how old are you? 25. Yeah. For 25 years, you have tried not to.
Right.
When somebody throws a punch at you, your instinct is to throw your hands up. However, I don't want you to do that right now. I want you to.
And it's hard to undo those, right? For as silly as it sounds, it took me forever to learn flat backing.
Yeah.
I couldn't get the, and then the first time you do, you're like, damn, that didn't hurt at all.
Yeah. When you do it right?
Yeah. Now
you land on your lower back so many times.
Right.